Hey everyone, it's Kayleigh and Immanuel. It's great to have you here, and we want you to know that you are loved and there's a purpose for your life. And today we are talking about how to prevent yourself catching feelings for inappropriate people.
Wow.
Yeah, what a title. What
are inappropriate people?
Okay. So start with catching feelings. I think most of us know what that is, but essentially when you start to build an emotional bond with someone, or maybe even an emotional bond for someone, like it's not reciprocal, but you're getting a bit like a crush on someone, you're getting a bit close. And inappropriate people might be someone like your best friend's husband, maybe your married boss, or even someone who you know isn't good for you. Or it could be anyone if you're in a season of life where you really need some time to yourself. Yeah.
Wow, sounds like this topic could be quite relevant for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Awesome, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So how did it come up for us? We were thinking about things in the context of marriage because we don't want to end up crossing lines emotionally with other people. We want to have that reserved for each other. So this is how it came up for us, and I think for you as well. You've been thinking about this topic over the years when you were single and also now.
Especially in the context of whether or not I should have friendships with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
So this is where it came up for me, but yeah, we see it all over the place where people do find themselves in scenarios where they catch feelings for someone that they're not meant to catch feelings for, and then they're like, oh no. And quite often I think you don't really know how you got yourself into this situation.
Yeah, it's a feeling of helplessness usually. It's like, I like this person, what do I do?
Yeah.
But it's not, I like this person, I know how this happened and I can prevent it next time.
Yeah. So we talked about this quite a lot. From my perspective, there's one big thing that helps preventing yourself from catching feelings for an inappropriate person, and that is having boundaries, having good boundaries that you set for yourself, but boundaries that you can also communicate with others.
So having boundaries and being able to communicate them.
Yeah. Let's unpack this.
Yeah, okay. So I guess the important thing is where those boundaries are applied. Big thing for me would be the topics of your conversation with people. As soon as you start to have deep conversations, or also very frequent conversations, but especially about things that are going wrong, or your thoughts, things you're pondering about life at this point in time, all of those kinds of things start to involve a person in kind of your life journey, and that does build a bond.
It builds a bond when you create this trust and this intimacy.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's quite difficult to get yourself out of there.
Yeah.
Especially if you haven't really thought much about principle of boundaries.
Yeah, if you don't think about it before you start having a conversation or before you are talking to a person, it's easy to open up to people, or it can be easy, and it may seem innocent as well.
So let's take the scenario where you might know someone that you know you should not be in a relationship with, but you like that person and you want to be friends with that person.
Maybe you have like really good chemistry and you're friends and it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think this is one scenario that can happen to everyone, really.
Yeah.
To everyone.
Yeah.
For single, for people in relationship, married people. And so, yeah, frequency, the level of trust or the level of depth, right? I think as well, for example, not just how often you talk about, how often you communicate, but also when you communicate.
Time of the day.
Time of the day,
yeah.
like don't talk to, I would even say don't talk to anyone of the opposite sex past like 10 p.m. or so.
Yeah.
Right? especially when, like, after a certain time, it's getting into a sphere where you really don't want to be. Maybe there's a time off when you're like, oh, you have, you don't want to be religious about it, but you definitely want to be careful about this.
And you know yourself, okay? You know what, and this doesn't necessarily mean you have sexual thoughts at night, but I feel like most people have deeper thoughts at night. The night is when you start to ponder things and you're just in a different space, and that's not only a mental thing, but also to do with your sleep rhythm and your circadian rhythm and the moon and how that affects our brains and all this scientific stuff. But yeah, the night has your mind in a whole different place, so protect that time. Yeah,
I think as well, inclusion is important when there's this other person, and this other person no one knows about. No one knows about in your friendship circle. And you have your friends, but you also have that one other person, and no one knows, so there's no one that can check you, or that can tell you, look, what is happening there. And when it's very easy then to become secretive about it. Right?
And that is a very good point, because it's also easy to have this person who actually, for a long time you were just friends, but now you have this little feeling. So another thing is, don't ignore the little feeling, because all of those innocent chats and banter, at some point you're going to notice you just went over that. You went over into catching feelings. Be honest with yourself and tell someone, because it helps you to process what's happening and also to decide what you want going forwards. Because if you don't decide, you're going to continue what you were doing before, the innocent stuff, and you're going to end up with an emotional attachment to someone that perhaps you didn't actually want that with.
So I guess then also with articulating boundaries, when you just kind of like, you just spend a lot of time in this chemistry, and there's a lot of maybe unspoken things there, like you don't really know how to label it.
If you're not sure what's going on, there's a problem. Okay. And so to say to that person, I would like to be friends, and I feel like we're talking quite a bit. I really like talking to you, but for my personal boundaries, I would rather we talk a bit less. Is that okay? You know? And if they're on the same page, they'll be okay with that.
Another thing I think is the spiritual element of, for example, praying with that person and praying deeply with that person. Prayer is a very strong bond.
That's something you should avoid if you don't want to get close.
Exactly. Avoid that. Pray with your best friends. Like I should pray with Kayleigh, and I should pray with my best mates, and Kayleigh should pray with me and with her best friends. But Kayleigh should not pray maybe deeply or maybe repetitively with other guys, because it's not for them to know the deep things in my heart. Well, there's a lot of things. And maybe this was helpful to you. Maybe there were a few areas where you actually haven't thought of it, and maybe that was helpful. So do let us know in the comments whether there was any aspect where you think this could be valuable.
Or if there are any other aspects that you would like us to talk about that could be valuable.
Exactly. And so as always, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe to our channel, helps a lot. And see you next time.
Bye.